Ultra Science learners, welcome to this exam revision of agriculture. I'll be with you. We will be trying to answer section A. So we start with 1.1.1. One of the following is not a feature of topography. So we should understand the word topography to say that when we are talking about topography of the land, we are talking about the shape and the position of the land. So the aspects of topography are slope, aspect, and altitude. Those are the things that we looked at when we are looking at the shape and the position of the land. So they say A is altitude, we agree. B is angle of the slope, we agree. C is time, we don't agree. And D, they say, is aspect. So the feature which is not the feature of topography, it's C, time. The answer is C. 1.1.2 identify the soil forming process that occurs when soluble material is taken out of a soil in a solution. So we have various soil processes, and then when we are talking about soil forming process, we must understand that we are talking about the ways in which soil forming factors combine in order to form soil. So these soil forming processes that we can identify or which we have learned about, they are mineralization, leaching, and humidification. So they gave you the humidification, leaching, mineralization, and biochupation. I forgot biochupation. So when we talk about humidification, we talk about a soil forming process where soil microorganisms such as decomposers, they will decompose organic matter and they produce humus. That's why we say that is humidification. So what about the mineralization? Mineralization is where is a soil forming process which releases mineral. These minerals are released during decomposition process, and we know that it is bacteria and fungi that plays a role during this decomposition. And then we have a leaching. Leaching is a soil forming process where soluble material is taken out of the soil in solution, and that is it. That's what we have been looking for. The answer is B, leaching. 1.1.3 chemical reaction on rocks in which hydrogen is lost. So we have various chemical reactions that can occur on rocks, such as hydrolysis. When we talk about hydrolysis, you must know hydro means water. That's where our mineral will react with water. Like muscovite is the mineral that we learned about. The muscovite can react with water to form illite, or biotite will react with water to form vermiculite, or the illite will react. We said the muscovite react with water to form illite. We will have illite again reacting with water to form montmorillonite. And then we have montmorillonite again will react with water to form kaolinite. So it's not gonna be that. So what about carbonation? Carbonation is a chemical reaction where carbon dioxide react with water. When they react, they form what we call the carbonic acid. Then we have the oxidation. The oxidation is a chemical reaction where hydrogen is lost, oxygen is gained. We gain oxygen, we lose hydrogen, especially when rocks are exposed to oxygen in air or in water. And then you will see some ions turning red. And then we have reduction. Reduction is the opposite of oxidation, because in reduction we lose oxygen and we gain hydrogen. So here is going to be, answer is going to be B, oxidation. It's the chemical reaction on rocks in which hydrogen is lost. And then 1.1.4, the building blocks of lives are, we know that they are cells. They cannot be tissue, they cannot be organs, they cannot be systems. 1.1.5, they say metamorphic rocks, soil have the following characteristics. So we know that this is going to be formed. We will have a clay soil. In metamorphic, it's a clay soil which formed from gneiss, or it is formed from feldspar. Those are kinds of the minerals that you learned about. So, or it can form a sandy soil when it comes from quartz, but we know that we have a just little bit of quartz, meaning that the dominating mineral here is what we call the feldspar or gneiss. So this soil, which is formed from metamorphic rock, is rich with potassium, calcium, magnesium, iron, and it is poorly drained because of it has micropores. Now the micropores, because they are so small, we talk about the small pores, they do not allow water to drain. So, and again, it's going to be poorly aerated because of high volume of water. So there's no circulation of air in the soil because of there are just few macropores. Macro is large pores, and then micro, we talk about the small pores. That's why we say it is poorly aerated, it is heavy, it is difficult to cultivate. So we can see that we have Roman figure 1, Roman figure 2, Roman figure 3. Those are correct. So it is very fertile, poorly drained, heavy and difficult to cultivate. And the answer is going to be option A. Answer is option A. 1.1.6, identify the type of feed shown below. If you look, you can see that we have the cattle, they are grazing. And then we will say that is a pasture. A pasture, we said it's an area which animals use for grazing or browsing. So they are grazing. The answer is going to be C. 1.1.7, the Conservation of Agricultural Resources Act 1983, category 3 states that invaders. So we have 3 categories when come here. We have category number 1, which can declare an invasive species or invasive plant as a weed. And then when it's declared as a weed, it means that it has very high risk. It is very much dangerous, like Lantana camara, which is shrub from Mexico. We have category number 2. In category number 2, they say they are beneficial and they must be planted in certain demarcated areas, like Pinus putula, the way you can call it, Pinus putula. And then we have category number 3, and then we talk about the invasive, but they are useful. They can be used as a shade or ornamental trees in urban areas, like the jacaranda tree. The Jacaranda mimosifolia, it's called Jacaranda mimosifolia. That's its name. It's from South America. Then can we see they say pose a very high risk and may not be planted. That falls under category 1. Are invasive, but they are also beneficial. It falls under category number 2. Can be useful as shade and ornamental trees. It falls under category 3, and we are looking for category 3. Then the answer becomes C. 1.1.8, an example of grain fields that are mostly grown by commercial and small scale producers in South Africa. That is most obvious. It's maize. C, maize. We find that in our homes we do plant maize. 1.1.9, this activities method of using the soil sustainably. Practicing crop rotation. Yes, if we practice crop rotation, yes, that's a good management practice that we can use. B, rainfall harvesting. Rainfall harvesting will fall under water, using water sustainably. It does not fall under using soil sustainably. Monoculture, no, monoculture, that's a poor practice. Monoculture is cultivating the same crop year by year. You plant spinach this season, the following season you'll plant spinach. Even in 2028, you'll plant spinach on the same land, on the same piece of land. And then we have growing drought tolerant crop. No, that is water, managing water. But the answer is going to be A, practicing crop production. Trees are evergreen trees such as pine and firs with little like leaves. These are the soft woods. A. Then we have given a column here, column A and column B. They say we match. 2.1.1 say is the form of chemical weathering. You know that physical weathering is the form of not physical weathering, sort of hydrolysis. E. Answer is going to be E, hydrolysis. That's a form of. We having E and B. B, hydrolysis, or E, hydrolysis. 1.2.2, you can see a rock. The picture is not clear, but that's a form of physical weathering. 1.2.3, they say oilseed crop. They are going to be soybeans. D. 1.2.4, they say chromosomes attached to the spindle by centromere. They line up along the equator. We're talking about the steps of mitosis or meiosis. So there's a step in mitosis where the chromosomes lines at the equator, they attach to the spindle fiber by the centromere, and then that is going to be option H, metaphase. That's metaphase. A condition where the soil pH is generally less than 4.5, and that is going to be A, acidification, meaning that the soil is too acidic. The pH scale is telling us that the soil is acidic. So this is one terminology. 1.3.1, they say the formation of humus or compost from plant or remain. That's humification, when we form humus. A variety of a particular plant species that has certain genetic characteristics, we call that a cultivar. A cultivar. Let me grab a pen. And then it's a cultivar. It's a cultivar. So I'm no longer seeing. So we were on 1.3. We say it's a cultivar. Sorry. It's a cultivar. The release of harmful substance into the environment, they didn't be specific to say to air or to land, and then that is pollution. As long as we are releasing something which is going to harm the environment, is pollution. The stage of mitosis where chromosomes line up along the equator. So let's say this is having the spindle fibers, and then here we are having the chromosomes which lines up at the equator, and then we call this stage metaphase. And then they say organism consisting of more than one cell, we call those organisms multicellular. When they have more cells, we call them multicellular. When they have one cell, we call them unicellular. So they are called multicellular. All right, let's move to 1.4. They say change the underlined words. We are having the indigenous plant are not originally from that area. Those are alien. You change the humidification is a soil that has a high inorganic content and low organic content. That's not true. Then this is going to be a sandy soil. And then the hardening of the soil is called compaction. That's not true. It is called crusting. The tissue is a part of the body that performs a particular function. That's not true. It's going to be an organ. And acidity is the presence of excess salt. They talk about excess salt in the soil, and we talk about alkalinity. So that's all on question 1.